What's up, everyone? This is BigPowner, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to make a really awesome quiver for the physical to cold tornado shot build. You could change this, but this one specifically is for this build. It's pretty specific. The bottom and the methods that are going to be used for this, you could alter them, you could change the influences, and you could wind up making something for a different build. But if you want a really crazy quiver for the physical to cold conversion, this is going to be how to do it. So mine is this one right here. The stats that we absolutely want are the additional arrow, crit chance, multiplier, physical damage is extra cold, and physical converted to cold. So we need these 5 stats. The last stat, craft on HP. You could also just go for more damage. If you wind up hitting, like cold damage or something else with it, because you want 5 stats basically, you probably, if you wind up hitting like the last stat being something you don't need or don't really want, you'd probably settle for that, would be my guess. It probably definitely probably wouldn't be worth rolling over. Um, so yeah, depending on whether you already have full conversion through your gloves, like if you made a pair like this where you have 60% physical to cold, then you don't need the physical conversion. If you plan on doing the gloves like mine, the dual old influence, not the new influence, with the frenzy charge, focus, intimidates, all that good stuff, then you have to pick up the conversion somewhere else, and those 2 places being your quiver and your watcher's eye. So that is the case for my build, and that is going to be the case for a lot of people, or whenever they get to that point, if they decide to switch off of the new influence, they're going to need the physical conversion to cold. You can technically use the T2, but you'd have to have a perfect roll on both your watcher's eye and on the quiver, so that will make it a little bit harder. The way that we're going to do this, this is not a cheap craft, obviously, because we're wanting 5 specific stats. um, it's not going to be cheap, but there is a way to do it, which is really cool. So first off, you have to get your bow fires an additional arrow. You have to get it isolated. The only other thing that could be with it is you could isolate this. If you wind up with crit chance or a crit multiplier, then you can leave that if you're happy with the rolls on it. Otherwise, you have to try to annul it off, and in that case, if you miss the null, you just have to start over. When you have the bow fires an additional arrow isolated with a crit chance or crit multiplier, then you can just do a block suffixes cannot be changed, and then do a regular crit slam. If you have it like this one, where my only suffix is bow fires an additional arrow, then you need to use crit plus crit, because our goal is to have both crit chance and crit multiplier. The only 2 stats that are going to come out on that are, with the crit plus crit, is those 2 stats. So you have a pretty high probability of getting both of those. What you don't have control over is what tier they're going to come out on. So obviously, if they are unsatisfactory, you're going to have to try to annul them off, and if you can't annul them off, like if you wind up removing the additional arrow, then you are going to be taking and re-rolling the additional arrow back on there. So obviously this is going to take some currency, just getting the additional arrow on there and isolated, because you could get the additional arrow and then you miss it. The thing that I also need to tell you is you have to have the 2 influences already put together before you start. So you have to take an 86. You're going to want to do an 86, just so you have access to everything top tier. I don't think it actually has to be, but they're like 5C for the base. 86 broadhead arrow. You could obviously choose different base, but you need shaper and crusader. The reason why we need both Shaper and Crusader is because the mod pool. We'll go ahead and look at this. I'm gonna go Quiver. Okay, so Shaper, we've got the physical damage as extra cold. This is going to be good. You could wind up hitting the mana on hit, which honestly wouldn't be bad. Like if that wound up being the extra stat on the top, that would actually be pretty good. But then we need the Crusader for the percent of physical converted to cold damage. So that's the reason why we're using these two. So obviously, if you're not, you don't need the physical converted to cold, then you're not going to need the Crusader influence. You could just go with the Shaper influence or the Redeemer influence. So you could do Redeemer and Crusader. That would also work. Either one of those two combinations. There's nothing that I don't think anything on either one of the mods messes up the craft. So yeah, you could actually swap Redeemer out for the Shaper. But what we're going to wind up doing, now that we have this isolated, we first have to craft the bottom. Once we have successfully crafted the bottom, then we'll move to crafting the top. So to start off, what we're going to have to do, now that we have it in this position like this, is we have to do suffixes cannot be changed. Okay, so we've got suffixes cannot be changed. Now we're going to be doing crit plus crit, and the hopes is we get a good crit chance and crit multiplier. So it's pretty bad. We got tier 6 multiplier, tier 4 crit chance. That's pretty bad. So we are going to have to try to annul this. It's unfortunate. So at this point, I wish I would have. I'm making this for someone else. I wish I would have asked him what he would be happy with. Tier 4 is pretty low though. I think we try to annul that off. 50-50. Oh, alright. So we will try again. We got one more set up. Let's hope this is the lucky one. So if that one was a high crit chance or crit multi, then I could have just done prefixes, suffixes cannot be changed because there's an open slot, and I could just slam it with crit again. I could use a single crit at that point. But yeah, okay. So here we go, round 2. Let's hope this turns out better. Oh, alright, so this is unfortunate. We used the crit, more crit, and you know, it's going to guarantee that we get one of them. We didn't get the other one, so now we have to hope that we remove either both the crit chance and the accuracy, or we remove just the accuracy and then we can slam it again, because I would keep that crit chance. Tier 3, yeah, I think I would probably go ahead and slam on that. But we'll see what happens. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to go ahead and hit it again. If it was the multiplier, you could actually try to do a Chosen, because the Chosen would give you percent crit chance and then also can give you percent elemental damage. But we're going to go ahead and do this again now. You have a pretty good probability of getting both when you slam it. But now that there's already a crit chance on there, it will guarantee that it's multiplier. So I think 34% out of it's tier 1. Tier 1's 40. I think we go ahead with that. So it's gonna be changed. Craft. Okay. So I don't have a single crit, but if I did, I would use it. So this will give us the multiplier for sure. Got tier 4, man. I don't know if you'd be happy with that. Comparatively. I mean, it's decent. I mean, I think honestly finishing it will have value instead of trying to re-roll over it at this point, though. So I think either way, even if he wants a better one, I think you could go ahead and finish it. So once you have it at this point, obviously, you know, the base is less cost because Awakener's orbs are so cheap. The base and having the additional arrow on it is, you know, less cost than the than one reroll. So getting it to this point, I think that it's going to have value regardless. So we're going to go ahead and try and finish this. The way that we're going to try to finish this, the way that we're going to try and get the physical as extra cold with the physical converted to cold is by doing cold, more cold. For him, he has gloves that give 60% conversion. So if we got just a high physical to as extra cold in like an open slot or something else useful, that would probably be a keeper because there's probably going to be a lot of people doing the physical as extra cold. Um, I would just keep it if I wound up with something decent, even if it didn't have both of those mods, just because it's probably going to have a good amount of value. So now once again we're going to do suffixes cannot be changed. And then we are going to do cold, more cold. And hope that we get a T1 physical as extra cold. Ooh. Oh, dude, that is sick. Holy shit. That's insane. So that got a super crazy lucky roll. That's pretty much the best possible DPS roll that you could get. Tier 1 increased damage with bows, Tier 1 number to number cold, and Tier 1 physical is extra cold damage. So, like, the physical, the cold, this obviously wouldn't work for my build, but that's just an absolutely insane roll. Because you got the tier 1 increased damage with bow skills. Obviously, the cold rolls, there's a high probability of hitting 2 cold rolls, and the cold rolls that are probable are the number to number cold, the percent physical as extra cold, and then the physical conversion physical damage is extra cold. So this is actually really insane. Like this is going to be just like an insanely valuable item because it happened to hit tier 1 number to number, tier 1 percent extra arrow. Like this is, I mean, maybe if we remove something off, there's not going to be anything on the market. I mean, even just these 4 stats, there's just nothing on the market. Probably if we remove that, maybe. Not even that good of rolls. There are even these 2 things. So there's not really anything to compare to it. I mean, if we take off the additional arrow, maybe we'll find something. Maybe remove multiplier. It's probably hard to find these 3 things together. So maybe if we take this off and look at it like this. I don't know, insanely valuable quiver. So that was a good idea to go ahead with it. Let's see what this one that's 80 exalts is. Okay, so ours completely blows us out of the water. It's got the tier 1 number cold and additional arrow, but we've got, you know, higher crit chance and multiplier and tier 1% damage just like this. So he's got like basically 3 of our stats. We've got 6 best in slot DPS rolls. So that's really insane. I would do another one, but I don't have the stuff to do it. Obviously, this is going to be a really good one for the people that are using the 60% physical conversion to cold. For mine to hit the physical conversion with the The physical is extra cold. It did take me quite a few rolls. I obviously went for higher rolls on my crit chance and multiplier. I said like T2, T3. Yeah, T2, T3, and then went ahead. When I hit the tier 1 physical conversion with the tier 2 physical is extra cold, it's another one of those things where it's like the item at this point is so good that you can't really roll over it. And the estimated cost to, like replicate it is like as high as, just starting over. Um, it can be kind of a pain. I would say realistically, crafting one of these is you should expect for it to be pretty expensive. You could get lucky if you're willing to be like, oh, I've got tier 3, tier 4. I'm happy to go forward. You probably can get something pretty nice. You just really have to decide how much it is that you want to spend. Um, so that's something I would really think about and decide. As far as getting the crit plus crit and the cold plus more cold, which I need to go grab that out of this map. I just used Keurig and used his harvest farms by re-rolling by just re-rolling with his little mission things till I find the harvest, and then I just speed run them. Both of the mods are common. They should be easy to find. The crit plus more crit and the cold plus more cold. I had a really hard time finding 2 cold plus colds. So that winded up being a pain. But yeah, it shouldn't be really. Like the cold mods should be pretty common. They're one of the most common mods. The crits are really common also. So farming those really shouldn't be that big of a deal. And if you're not trying to do it on a video, you don't have to save them up. You can just try them as you get them. Anyways, that's how you create an absolutely insane quiver. Obviously, you can try to make it as perfect as you want using those methods. Like obviously, if he wanted T1 T1, I could just keep on re-rolling crits and then annulling off till I hit all that. Obviously, that would take exponentially more currency outside of just sheer dumb luck. The result was actually pretty insane. So yeah, he's definitely going to be happy with that. I'm happy with the item I created. He has gotten really lucky on some of these crafts. He definitely came out way ahead. Way ahead and way under budget. But this is how you make a really awesome quiver. He got his a lot cheaper than mine. I'm just going to put that out there. And then, like I also said, if you have to have the physical conversion to cold on there and you want the physical is extra cold, you should expect to pay more. Probably at least like twice as much. As far as rerolls, of course, you could just get lucky, but just based on the probability, you're a lot more likely to roll one of those mods with number to number cold, just because it's more common. So yeah, just keep that in mind. You can craft on, I think you can craft on the percent physical as extra cold on quivers, but I think it's 20. Which makes it really hard with your... Oh no, is that not a craft? Oh, that's not, it's just on gloves. Yeah, so that's the only way to do it. This is another example of why going for the way that my build's set up, you really have to be willing to commit the currency to it, because like you create these gloves and then you can't really use them until you create the quiver. So you're in this session, like the one that I recorded tonight plus this one, I think my gloves and my quiver cost more than all of the gear I made tonight. So instead of like 4 pieces, I got 2. So that's why I would definitely recommend going with the physical conversion to cold on your gloves. And getting fully geared so you can play the build, and then if you want to invest more, make those pieces and then be able to put them on when you're ready to put them on. Um, so yeah, that's my advice. I'm getting tired. This is gonna be my last video for the night. I'm glad that it came out really awesome. It took me a lot longer to farm the re-rolls. Anyways, if you enjoyed this content, if this was helpful for you, go ahead and give it a like, share it. If you're not subscribed yet, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. If you want to see all of this crafting session, check it out at twitch.tv/BigPowner. Those recordings will be up for 2 weeks. And this will be the last of the videos uploaded, I believe. Anyways, thanks for watching. Catch you next time. Peace.